The silent psychology behind losing interest in people. You don't suddenly stop caring about people. That's the lie. What really happens is quieter than that, slower, more unsettling. One day you notice you're replying later than usual. Not because you're busy, but because you don't feel the urge. The conversation is there, the person is there, but the interest isn't, and that scares you. Because you remember when it used to be different. There was a time when you wanted connection, when you stayed up late talking, when people energized you, when relationships felt meaningful. Now you feel distant, detached, almost empty, and you start asking the wrong question. What's wrong with me? But that's not the real question. The real question is, what happened inside you that made distance feel safer than closeness? Here's the truth nobody tells you. Losing interest in people is rarely about other people. It's about what your mind has learned, quietly, over time. At first, you blame exhaustion, work, stress, responsibilities. You tell yourself, I'll be social again when life calms down. But life doesn't calm down, and slowly conversations begin to feel repetitive, predictable, draining, same topics, same complaints, same surface-level talk. And something inside you pulls back, not out of arrogance, out of protection. Your brain is always scanning for one thing, meaning, not noise, not stimulation, meaning. When you're younger, novelty feels like meaning. New people, new stories, new emotions. Everything feels important because it's unfamiliar. But your brain adapts. It becomes efficient. And what once felt exciting now feels thin. You're not bored of people. You're bored of connections that go nowhere. This is where the shift begins. You stop reaching out first. You reply slower. You cancel plans without guilt. Not because you don't care, but because every interaction feels like it costs more than it gives. Your emotional energy becomes limited, and your mind starts filtering, silently. Most people think this comes from one big betrayal. It usually doesn't. It comes from many small ones. Being misunderstood, being overlooked, being needed only when it's convenient. You don't explode. You don't confront. You adapt. And adaptation looks like withdrawal. One day you realize something unsettling. You don't feel curious about people anymore. Their stories don't pull you in. Their opinions don't excite you. That's not apathy. That's emotional fatigue. Here's an uncomfortable truth. As you grow, your inner world deepens. Your thoughts sharpen, your standards rise, your tolerance for nonsense drops. And suddenly, casual interaction feels hollow. Not bad, just empty. You start craving depth, but depth is rare. So instead of constantly feeling disappointed, your mind chooses distance. Distance hurts less than unmet expectations. This is the part nobody warns you about. Losing interest in people often means you've outgrown an old version of yourself, the version that needed approval, the version that feared being alone, the version that confused attention with connection. When you no longer need validation, many relationships stop making sense, not because they were fake, but because they were built on needs you no longer have. That's why the loss feels strange. You're not angry. You're not heartbroken. You're just done. And that confuses everyone, including you. Your nervous system remembers what your mind tries to ignore. If you've spent years over giving, over listening, over accommodating, your body eventually says no. Even if your mouth keeps saying yes. That's when interest fades, because interest requires safety, and your system no longer feels safe investing emotionally without return. You notice it in small moments. Someone is talking, you're nodding, smiling, but you're not really there. You're thinking about silence, about being alone, about peace. That's not depression. That's your psyche asking for space. People will say you've changed, that you're cold, detached, antisocial. They're wrong. You're not cold, you're selective. And there's a difference. Coldness rejects everyone. Selectiveness protects what matters. Here's something people don't like admitting. When you lose interest in people, you also lose interest in pretending. Pretending to care, pretending to agree, pretending to belong. And once you stop pretending, many relationships fall apart on their own because they depended on your performance, not your presence. This is where loneliness shows up, not because you miss people, but because you miss the version of yourself who connected effortlessly, the one who didn't overthink, didn't filter, didn't protect. But that version existed before disappointment taught you discernment. You can't go back, and you shouldn't. Losing interest in people is often a sign that your inner growth has outpaced your outer world. You've changed, they haven't, and that gap creates silence. But listen carefully. This phase isn't permanent, it's transitional. Your mind is clearing space, not for everyone, but for the right connections. The ones that don't drain you, the ones that don't require masks, the ones where silence feels comfortable, not awkward. Those people exist, but you don't find them while clinging to connections that no longer fit. This is where most people make a mistake. They force themselves to be social again. They lower their standards. They numb themselves. Don't. Sit with the silence. Listen to it. It's telling you what no one else can. One day, without forcing it, interest returns. Not in everyone, just a few. And those few feel different, effortless, grounded, real. You won't have to chase them, and they won't drain you. Losing interest in people isn't the end of connection. It's the end of empty connection. And that's not a loss. That's growth.